Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Jason, tell me about the life that you live today because of your rentals.
So I retired at age 46. My wife retired at 45. We retired at the same time through real estate investing mostly. And ever since the pandemic ended, we've been traveling around the world pretty much 8 to 9 months a year. And we have decided that we are in search of the ideal climate. So we want to find the place where it's 70 degrees all year round. And I'm actually doing this with you from Manchester, England, where today the high was 71. So I almost got there.
On the podcast today, we're going to walk through Jason's story and figure out how we did this. Joining us on the show today is an investor from Texas who is currently in Manchester, England, Jason Hull. We'll take a quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Jason. It's a lot of work to find a really good rental property. And when you actually find that property, you want to make sure you're working with a lender that can get that loan closed. The lender that I recommend is Caeli Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you're ready to get started today, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Are you thinking about investing in rental properties, but maybe you don't know where to start? My friends at Mid-South Home Buyers make it simple. For over 23 years, they've been selling fully renovated turnkey rental properties in Memphis and Little Rock. We're talking new roofs, plumbing, electric, kitchens, bathrooms. Everything is brand new and done right. And here's the best part. Every property comes with a well-qualified tenant in place before you close. That means you get cash flow from day one. Plus, Mid-South continues to professionally manage the property for you after the sale, and they back it up with 2 powerful guarantees. You get a 1-year total maintenance warranty and a lifetime occupancy guarantee. Personally, I've bought 5 properties from them, and I couldn't be happier. If you want to talk to someone that's been through the process, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you're ready to get started, just go to midsouthhomebuyers.com. That's midsouthhomebuyers.com. Jason, so you travel most of the year. Do you have a home base for when you come back to the States?
So we do have a home base. It's a lock and leave condo in Fort Worth, Texas, that we come back probably 2 to 3 months a year to see my wife's family, who lives in the Fort Worth area, and then my family lives in outside of Atlanta, and some of her family lives in New Mexico. But it's a really good home base to come back, buy new clothes, refill prescriptions, meds, get any supplies that we need for the next time we travel.
So you're in search of 70-degree weather. What are some of the places that you've been to?
So the ones that are probably closest in terms of climate that we're looking for, Mexico City, Medellin has the perfect climate, but it's a little too hectic for us. We're currently in Manchester, England, where it's 71 degrees today. Sydney, Australia, outside of the summer is great. The South Island of New Zealand is awesome when it's not winter. And we still want to explore, like Glasgow is really appealing to us. So we're going to go check that out next month.
Now, the way that you got here, I think is pretty interesting. So you built a rental portfolio and then you sold it and built a new portfolio. What was the thinking like? Why did you do that?
So we first bought in 2008 at the height of the financial crisis. We knew that we were going to move to Texas eventually. So we bought a home as a foreclosure, rented it out. It wound up working out well. And so we're like, hey, let's do this again. So we would just pile up money. And whenever we could afford to buy another house in cash, we'd reach out to our property manager, say, hey, do you know anyone who's desperate to sell? She would give us something. We'd run the numbers. We'd buy another one. We knew that we wanted to retire early because we had done the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, even though I don't agree with his investments. So we knew that we had a plan. So using rental property income was our plan all along. Probably a year before we retired in 2019, we really did a deep dive of the portfolio and realized, hey, we could sell some of these and buy more and get more rental income. But we also started looking at, like, are there flips? We were successful in some of those, but then post-COVID, doing flipping became a lot harder because of shortages of labor and materials. So we went to our third incarnation because we came across a builder who had really good prices and really good product, and the numbers worked. And so we decided, let's start, instead of dealing with rehab and repair and supplies and labor issues, let's buy something new that we hope doesn't have a lot of repair costs that we can rent out. And that way we can be a little bit more hands-off.
Has it worked out that way? Are the new construction homes just easier, less maintenance?
So far, so good. We just wired money today for our third. And once we sell a property that we have on the market, we'll go for our fourth. But they've been very easy to rent. The rental profile is a little different. You have to almost be a little bit more discerning in who you let rent. Of course, we're not doing that. Our property manager is, because you've got a brand new place. So, a significant amount of damage on a brand new place is a higher percentage of pain and cost than a bunch of damage in an old place.
Right.
So we're being really picky, but so far so good. Fingers crossed. I've probably jinxed us through this podcast.
Right. All right. So when you were getting started, you bought your first property with cash. I guess that you bought all the properties with cash for the first portfolio.
All of our properties with cash. When I was in the Army, right before I got out of the Army, I bought a VA foreclosure with a VA loan. And we put a renter in. It was great. It covered the mortgage. And I went to grad school. My wife had a brand new job. So we were poor as church mice. And of course, the people that were living in that place got a permanent change of station on, like, quick notice orders. So our perfect renters got sent to, I think, Korea. And we were left having to pay the mortgage with no income virtually. So, that scarred us. I mean, for better or for worse. Yeah. I know financially, just from a numbers and a quantitative perspective, leverage is better. But man, the psychology, people really, really underestimate the psychology until they're underwater.
Right. So then, as far as saving up cash, so you would, like, did you do any tricks like living off your wife's income or your income? Like how did you save the money?
That's exactly what we did. So we basically lived off of about 80% of my wife's income and everything I made and her leftover, and all of our rental income beyond having a fund for repairs and paying the insurance, property taxes, things like that, went into a separate bank account. And when that bank account hit X, we'd reach out to Misty, our property manager, and say, hey, do you have anything? And she'd send us stuff and we'd pick one and she'd go look at it and we'd make an offer, and be able to be a cash buyer was really helpful because we could accept things as is, where is, and close in 7 days. And she had done enough deals with us that she could convey the trust that, yeah, they're not full of crap. They aren't, they haven't watched Property Brothers and decided that they're going to be real estate barons. They can actually do this.
And how many properties did you get up to before you sold everything?
So when we retired, we had 15 properties and 21 doors, duplexes, funky, 3 trailers on a piece of property. And then I just started looking at the values of the properties and was like, whoa, they appreciated a lot more than I thought. We could sell some of these and potentially buy other properties that might generate even more rental income. Mm-hmm. So we started selling, and then the boom of COVID, everyone moving out to the sticks, really helped us. But our idea of, like, we'll buy other properties and repair them and potentially flip or rent them out got difficult because all the labor went away and the supply shortages happened. So it wound up kind of being a wash. And that's when we decided, hey, let's look at something that's a little less labor intensive and material intensive.
Did you do a 1031 exchange, or did you literally sell everything and then start buying new properties?
So we didn't sell everything at once. It wasn't like, hey, here's our portfolio, make us an offer. We would put things on the market as like renters would leave, or they would come up for renewal. We never did a 1031. And I know, again, the financial wonks. I used to be a CFP, so I know the math behind all this. I know it's, again, not the financially right thing to do, but I just wanted to knock out any tax obligations that we had and not have to fool with it later. Because as you age, one of the first cognitive skills to go away is math. And so I didn't want to be in my 60s and 70s trying to figure out all of these accumulated tax liabilities that we had. I just wanted to make it simple on future old, decrepit me.
Right. And, being that you bought the properties in cash and they've appreciated a lot, I mean, you had a lot of money there to buy new properties. So it wasn't like you were, or it didn't sound like you were really probably stretching to get into the new properties.
Oh, yeah, no, we would never put ourselves at financial risk. When you retire at 46, the last thing in the world you want to do is go get a jobby job when you're 51.
Right. Totally. All right. So then for the new properties that you're buying, like, tell me about the properties. Like, how big are they? How many bedrooms and baths?
Yeah. So they're all cookie cutter. They're all 5-bedroom, 3-bath or 2.5 bath, 1,800 something square feet on like a quarter acre of land. It's the same builder. So they do the same thing with every neighborhood. So we buy like 1 or 2 in each neighborhood. And that way we kind of diversify our risk in terms of they're not all in one neighborhood. And if a flood comes through the neighborhood, we're hosed. We would have flood liability insurance, but you get the point. Like if one neighborhood goes into the dumps, you don't want your whole portfolio to be hosed as a result. So as they start new developments, we try and catch them at the beginning. They're like, hey, you can reduce your risk. We'll take one of these. That's our plan that we've executed for these 3, and that we'll continue to execute as we rotate through our old portfolio to get the new properties.
So you're still adding to your portfolio today. It sounds like you're maybe just getting started.
Yeah. So we literally just wired funds on the 3rd one today. We've got another property that should be closing in the next month and a half that we'll lather, rinse, repeat. And then we'll start to do the same thing that we did in 2008. As rental income comes in and we can pile up money, once we have enough of a pile, we'll buy another one.
I guess, like, how did you know that the time was right to sell?
So I built a really complicated spreadsheet and ran solver on it, and it told me which ones to sell and which ones not to sell based on the parameters I gave it. But one thing that we did before we really pulled the trigger was go look at every single property that we had, which we'd never done. We just bought them all sight unseen because we had that level of relationship. And we had a fallback. Like, okay, if the market drops by this, we can do this. If the market drops by that, we can do this. So we knew if worse came to worse, we could always live in one of our properties because it was fully paid for. Or we would go live full time in Mexico City or something like that. So we had some different fallback options in case the market tanked. We knew, if worse comes to worse, we were not going to have to go dive in a dumpster for food or have to go get a jobby job.
All right. So for the new properties, like, what's the price range that you're buying at today?
So we're buying we're paying $85 for every $1 of rental income monthly that we get. So for 1,000 in rental income, we're paying roughly 85, give or take, 85,000. So you can expand, contract that as you will. But that's to me, I think that math works out because hopefully the repair expenses will be lower. And so we can get a little bit more cash flow out of them than we do with a 1960s build. Granny died in it and we bought it because someone wanted to get rid of it.
Right. So walk me through the process of selling. So with selling that many properties, like how did you do it? Like, did you wait for tenants to leave and then put it on the market?
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. So when a tenant, if a tenant told us that they were leaving, then we would go ahead and put it on the market and give them a little bit off of their last month's rent if they kept the place nice, or if they were renewing. We basically gave them a number to where we would be indifferent. If they stayed, great. If they don't, we'll sell it. And so as we kind of cycled through our tenants, once the tenant left, we'd make it ready, repair it, paint it, whatever, and then put it on the market. So I don't think we had more than maybe 3 properties on the market at any given time.
So what would you say is the biggest difference? I mean, obviously with new construction, there's less maintenance just because it's a newer property. But do you find that you attract a different type of tenant?
Yeah, and the price range that those are at, it's much more of a professional renter, which we really haven't had in the past. So generally our properties, when we bought them, would be anywhere from $60,000 to $180,000. Rents would be $1,000 to call it $1,750 a month, which is definitely needed, is very valuable to people, but it brings in kind of a mixed bag. So you sometimes have to go through a couple of bad apples before you get a really appreciative tenant in the property. Whereas you get just a different type of renter. But sometimes some of those renters are not the most meticulous people either. So it's always a screening process. It's always going to be either your job to really, really screen for the psychological characteristics, or to have a really good property manager who does a really good job of screening those tenants.
Right. Now, as far as managing the properties, I mean, so it seems like it's pretty simple with them being new and not a lot of maintenance stuff coming up. So do you manage them yourself, or do you still have a manager? Okay.
No, I couldn't, we couldn't travel the way that we do. I mean, we designed our lifestyle around minimal involvement in our investments. So we have had a property manager since day one. When we bought our first one in 2008, it was in Texas. We were in Charlottesville, Virginia. And we've had that relationship with her for 17 years now. So we will always use her as our property manager. Again, financially, not the best decision, but from the lifestyle we were looking to pursue, that was absolutely the right decision.
And then as far as buying new places, do you just buy a new property when you're back in town, or are you comfortable buying a property without actually seeing it, since you've done that so much in the past?
Yeah, we're in Manchester right now. We haven't been in the U.S. since April, and we're closing on a property. We wired the money today. We close on it tomorrow. So buying, because we're cash buyers, we can buy with DocuSign. We just wire the money, do the DocuSign, it gets recorded, we're done. When we sell, we have to use a power of attorney. So we do have designated powers of attorney for people to sign for the selling of property on our behalf. So we did one last month. We'll do one next month, and we just use our POA. The title agency sends a mobile notary to them, so it's pretty low stress on our POA. And then we always, we take them out to dinner or something when we come back.
Do you have a certain, like a number of properties you want to get to with your new portfolio?
Infinity. No.
Infinity.
No, we have a pretty good idea of where we want to be in terms of having enough properties to cover our expenses without having to dip into our retirement funds.
Okay.
So we're on track to get there. Probably in the next 18 months would be my guess to be fully fully moved over from our old portfolio to a new portfolio of new properties.
It's really amazing what's possible with rental properties. Well, if anybody wants to reach out to Jason, I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 535. I'd like to thank Caeli Ridge from Ridge Lending Group for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking to buy a rental property, whether you're just getting started or you want to add to your portfolio, reach out to Caeli. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something that works for you. If you want to track her down, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. Make sure you hit the follow button. That way you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.